How's it going, everybody? This is Soul Town Productions. I'm bringing you another video of that gangland content, right? This gang that I'm going to be speaking about tonight is located in Anaheim, called the Anaheim Pauline Street Gang. First of all, I want to say much respect to this gang. I'm only speaking on your neighborhood regarding public knowledge, things that people could find online. We're going to be speaking about a few court cases, a few murders, and let's dive in on it, right? So before I get it started, please subscribe to my channel, like my channel if you can. If not, it's fine, I ain't tripping. So late one evening, a group of males were in an alley of a neighborhood claimed by a street gang named Eastside Anaheim. The alley had graffiti, apparently created by Eastside Anaheim members. A four-door gray Nissan occupied by four males drove down the alley. The car passed by the group, but then stopped, backed up, and a person later identified as defendant Venegas stepped out of the car from the driver's side rear door. He yelled something about a neighborhood, displayed a gun, and began firing. The group dispersed. Venegas then re-entered the car and sped off. A few minutes later, a police officer on patrol received a radio dispatch about the shooting and saw a Nissan matching the description of the suspect's vehicle. He followed the car, and after other police vehicles joined him, they attempted to stop it. The Nissan accelerated and led the police on a high-speed chase. At one point, the Nissan slowed down almost to a stop, and Venegas jumped out of the car through the left rear passenger door and began running away. A police officer chased Venegas, tackling him. The Nissan began to accelerate again, but another police car rammed it, ending the pursuit. At that point, the Nissan was occupied by defendant Veloz, seated behind the wheel, with Freddy Venegas, defendant Venegas' brother, sitting in the front passenger seat, and Jose Acevedo in the back seat. Diego Alvarez was one of the persons in the alley, was struck by some bullets, but his injuries were not life-threatening. Jonathan Maciel was with Alvarez when the police arrived. The prosecution called Maciel as a witness. He admitted talking to the police but denied being in the alley when the shooting occurred or recalling any of the incident's details. Maciel also said he told the police he did not see anything and denied recalling that he provided them with details as to what happened and who was involved. The prosecution was then allowed to introduce Maciel's prior statements to the police on the night of the shooting, in which he admitted being in the alley when the shooting occurred and running when the gunman began shooting at the group. He also identified defendants as suspects in the shooting and tentatively identified the Nissan stopped by the police as the vehicle used by the assailants. The jury viewed a tape-recorded interview of Maciel conducted at the police station later that evening. The police did not recover a gun, but they found 5 bullet casings in the alley where the shooting occurred and recovered bullet fragments from Alvarez's wounds. The police also tested the hands of all 4 suspects for gunshots residue, receiving positive results for each of them. The parties stipulated that Anaheim Vatos Locos was a criminal street gang and that Acevedo was an active Anaheim Vatos Locos member. They also stipulated that Freddy Venegas was an active member of a street gang named Pualine Street. Sergeant Brian Hanocha, a 14-year veteran of the Anaheim Police Department assigned to its gang unit for 5 years, testified as an expert on criminal street gangs for the prosecution. After summarizing his qualifications, Hanocha explained gang wars and slang, the use of tattoos, and the importance of weapons in the gang subculture. He also described Anaheim Vatos Locos, including its approximate size, territory, signs, and symbols, and its rivalry with the Eastside Anaheim Street Gang. Based on police reports, field information cards, and defendants' tattoos, Hanocha concluded both Venegas and Veloz were active members of Anaheim Vatos Locos. Given a hypothetical question based on the facts of this case, Hanocha opened that crimes were committed in association with Anaheim Vatos Locos because there were multiple Anaheim Vatos Locos gang members in the car. And for Anaheim Vatos Locos' benefit, because the one report he reviewed indicated that shooter yelled out AVLS. to let the victims know who is doing it. Hanocha also expressed the opinion that the substantive crimes of conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, felon in possession of a firearm, and felony invasion were committed to promote, further, or assist criminal conduct by AVLS members because it enhanced the gang's reputation, respect, and how much the gang is feared. Venegas testified in his own defense. He admitted being an active AVLS gang member. On the day of the shooting, Venegas claimed he visited his brother, Anthony Venegas, who lived in the area and began drinking alcohol. After his brother, Freddy Venegas, arrived, the two continued to drink together. At one point, Freddy Venegas went to his car and was confronted by some men with a gun. Venegas intervened and resolved the dispute, claiming the encounter ended with a shaking of hands. Later, Venegas and Freddy Venegas went to Velo's home, where he and Acevedo were drinking. After drinking some more, the foursome returned to Anthony Venegas' apartment. At some point, the group decided to leave and cruise around. Venegas claimed that as they were leaving Anthony Venegas' apartment through the alley, his brother Freddy Venegas was just getting all crazy and just gets off the car and he started shooting. Venegas denied knowing his brother had a gun or that other people were in the alley at the time. He claimed that when the police attempted to stop the vehicle, he fled because I am on parole and I was scared. And that's why you don't do things like that, man. Stay away from all the trouble, So late one night in 2003, 3 Pualine Street gang members were standing near a staircase at a motel in West Anaheim. A half dozen or so of the rival Vadio small town gang were in the room at the motel, partying. When members of the small town gang went outside to have a cigarette, they confronted the Pualine Street contingent. One of the small town gang members uttered the words of universal challenge among gang members, "Where you from?" And the fight ensued. 2 of Martinez Pualine Street cohorts soon ran, but Martinez pulled out a gun and fired it into an oncoming squad of small towners, killing one of them. Martinez testified in his own defense at trial. His side of the story was that when one of the small towners uttered the provocative "Where you guys from?" challenge, Martinez was in the process of pulling up his socks. Then suddenly someone kicked him in the face and he fell to the ground. His 2 compatriots ran up the stairs. When Martinez tried to follow, he was pulled back down. He tried to cover his face as he was being hit and kicked by no less than 5 people. While covering his face with his left arm, Martinez reached into the pocket of his hoodie with his right hand, pulled out a gun and fired it once or twice. Not looking, not aiming at anyone. At that point, he was able to make his escape. He would not be caught until years later. His trial took place in 2010. And the jury was instructed that sufficient provocation could reduce second-degree murder to voluntary manslaughter. It was also instructed it could find Martinez guilty of only voluntary manslaughter if he had acted because of a sudden quarrel or heat of passion, with the attendant qualification, of course, that he had acted like a person of average disposition. In this vein, the jury was also told the prosecution had the burden of showing Martinez did not kill as a result of a sudden quarrel or in the heat of passion. And if it did not carry the burden, Martinez could be found guilty of murder. The jury was also told it could find Martinez acted in imperfect self-defense if he believed he was in imminent danger of being killed or suffering grave bodily injury. And he actually believed the use of deadly force was necessary to defend against that danger, even if his belief was unreasonable. And the jury was further told that if it did find Martinez acted in imperfect self-defense, it could not convict him of murder, but only voluntary manslaughter. The jury returned a verdict of second-degree murder and street terrorism with firearm and gang enhancements. Martinez was sentenced to life with possibility of parole, plus a consecutive term of 25 years to life. So, like I said, this gang is it's a violent gang, just like any other gang. It starts with respect, man. You gotta respect each other, man. We're all the same people. It's time to move on from all this, So there's a case, right, where the defendant and a guy named Arturo Baltazar were members of an Anaheim Traveler City gang. Traveler City. And Alexis Solis, the victim, was a member of a rival gang called Pualine Street Gang. Baltazar had threatened Solis in the past and had problems with him. One evening in March 2013, Solis was in the rear passenger seat of a car with his friend, her son, and two others. He told the driver to pull over into an alley so he could spray graffiti on a wall in territory claimed by Traveler City. After Solis and the driver walked out of the car together, they ran back a few minutes later and appeared to be panicked. As he drove away, the defendant, who had been with Baltazar that evening, fired a gun, shattering the car's windshields and injuring Solis, who died from a gunshot wound to the back of his head. A passenger in the car heard defendant yell Traveler City as he fired the gun. After defendant was arrested, he admitted to the shooting and to disposing the gun in a recorded jailhouse conversation with another Traveler City's gang member who was in custody. You know, these street wars, they're dangerous, man. You could think to yourself, I'm going to hit this corner real quick and just tag up real quick. Ain't no one going to be there. And then next you know someone's there and you happen to pull the trigger. And now the guy's dead, you know? And the sad thing to me, what hits me mostly is the fact that homies are killing each other on the street. And then they hit county, they hit prison, and they gotta get along, man. You guys become one entity instead of a bunch of different little cliques. You guys are still gonna be part of the same entity, you know? And I don't like saying no names because, like I said, I'm not a gang member. I have nothing to do with that lifestyle. But what I can say is that the lifestyle is only gonna put you in a position where you're gonna kill yourself, you're gonna kill someone else, you're gonna get busted, and at the end of the day, it's not worth it, fellas. You know, what's the point? You guys are gonna get together in prison eventually. So what's the point of fight outside? Why does it have to result in gun violence? Why can't it be like the old school days where homies were duking it out with the fist? You know, it makes no sense. You know, and a lot of youngsters are manipulated into joining these gangs when the beef of the gang has nothing to do with the youngster. But the youngster goes ahead and takes it for himself as his own beef, resulting in murder. You know? So, on Saturday night, Fullerton PD responded to a burglary call on Dale Street and Valencia Drive. Police arrived and saw a man walking near the area with a concealed weapon on him. The suspect then tried to run but was stopped by the police dog. Blitz. The individual was arrested for possession of a loaded .25 caliber semi-automatic gun. He was on parole at the time of arrest, so he will also be charged with a parole violation and evading arrest. Lieutenant Kevin Hamilton said he is a Pualine Street gang member that was recently paroled and may have to go to Chino State Prison after this parole violation. Parole is the supervised release of a prisoner before the end of their sentence. Once someone is paroled, conditions are placed on them to abide by, including the ban on carrying any weapons. This individual is clearly in violation of the requirement and will face more prison time for this incident. He will need an experienced criminal defense attorney to assist him with legal matters. And, you know, if you think about it, fellas, most of you guys are American citizens. Most of you guys were born in the United States. And if you think about it, that's a privilege. Why? Because if you have a clean criminal record, you could own a firearm legally under your name. You could own many firearms. You could own, high caliber weapons. And many times you ruin that by getting criminally convicted where you can't own a firearm no more. Now you have to carry it illegally. And the problem with carrying it illegally is not only are you a parolee, not only is your life already in danger because you're a gang member, but now you gotta serve time because you feel like you gotta protect yourself. When in reality, from the gate, if you would have just kept your criminal record clean, you could have been able to have all the firearms that you want. You could have been able to have a house full of firearms. But instead, you chose to ruin your life and get that gun right taken away. You know, we got to do better, fellas. Let's teach the youngsters. You know, if you want a firearm, cool. Guns are cool, man. You know, you want to own assault rifles and all that, that's cool, you know? But let's do it the legal way. Let's do it the way where you could actually protect your family and your house with legal weapons under your name. You know, we got to do better, man. So an incident that police say may be gang related, one man was fatally shot and another was wounded in an alley of crime-plagued neighborhood. Investigators were still trying to identify the dead man late Monday. The dead man's friend, Marcelo Telas, 20 of Anaheim, suffered gunshot wounds in the leg and groin and was listed in stable condition at UCI Medical Center in Orange. The two men were attacked Sunday night in an alley behind Telas' apartment in the 600 block of Pualine Street, police said. Lieutenant Mark Hedgepeth said two youths were seen fleeing from the area after the shooting. Both Telas and the dead man are believed to be gang associates. Hedgepeth said, adding that Telas was not cooperating with the investigation. Hedgepeth said several police units responded to a report of a shooting in the alley about 10:10 p.m. The unidentified victim was already dead when officers arrived, while Telas was lying in a pool of blood. Telas was lying on the ground calling for help, said a neighbor who declined to give his name. There was blood all over and Telas was crying. Both men were shot twice with a large caliber pistol. Neighbors said they did not know Telas well because he had moved into the apartment building only a few weeks ago. Some residents said they heard the gunshots but did not know that there had been casualties, adding that shootings and violence in the neighborhood are common. It's quiet during the day, but at night all hell breaks loose. It's quiet during the day, but at night all hell breaks loose, said Ruth Griffin, who has lived in Pualine Street with her two children for the last 5 months. People try to sell drugs. There are car chases, helicopter patrols, everything. An official of the Anaheim Interfaith Shelter said she recently requested additional police patrols on the street because of high-speed chases in the narrow alleyway. If a child playing in the alley, he or she could be killed because the cars fly through here, said the official, who requested anonymity. These guys chase one another with cars and it's only a matter of time before someone gets hurt. The neighborhood has more incidents of crime than the majority of the areas in the city, Hedgepeth said. It's a very high density area with a low socioeconomic clientele. And let's face the facts, right? The only people that we hurt is our people, our raza. The only people that really get hurt is the kids on the street. You know, the mothers that are afraid to go outside. You know, teenagers that get victimized because of gang members, right? And at the end of the day, there's no future in it. We're only destroying our communities. You know, you want to defend your neighborhood, defend it with honor, by protecting it, by keeping drugs out of it, by not letting the youngsters get into the life, you know, by pushing that positive narrative and keeping it 100 as a man, not as a gang member, not as a criminal, but 100 as a man. Take care of your family, teach your kids right. We don't live in a day where gang violence is necessary. We could come together. We can make it safe for the kids in the future, because the kids are the future. And if we mess them up by manipulating them into joining street gangs and to being criminals, we're only taking away our men from the house, you know? We're taking away the warriors of the tribe. We're taking away the future caretakers of the kids, right? We're polluting. Gangs are like a cancer. You know, it starts small, but then eventually gets big and it gets dangerous, right? So with that, I'm gonna end this video. Like I said, this is Anaheim Pauline Street Gang. Much respect to your neighborhood. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. Have a good night, my people. Stay safe out there. And one love, eh?
No more. Bye, will I be a fool over you? No more will I cry over you. No more will I be a fool. Will I spend sleepless nights over you?